What's going on, everyone? So something is obviously up with Fatima, especially after season 3, episode 2, in which we saw some very interesting things that I want to dive into, explore. Of course, I want to hear your thoughts and opinions as always, so let me know down in the comments below. But she's pregnant, and that's not the strange thing. Pregnancy, obviously, she's having some struggles, she's having some issues with. You see her constantly dealing with like morning sickness and just sickness in general. I'm sure just the stress and chaos of living in Fromville is no help. You can imagine how difficult a pregnancy would be in an environment like that. Pregnancy, period, can be a difficult endeavor for anybody. Now imagine being put in a place where everything's designed to basically kill you, right? That's not a great place for just tranquility and peace while you're trying to grow a human inside you. But beyond that, you're starting to see her start to really have effects, teeth falling out, almost like she's rotting away. And then we get this moment where she smells and sees the rotting vegetables and starts to eat that stuff. Now, it is very possible that she is just having strange pregnancy issues. I think it's pecan or something like that. I could be completely saying that wrong, but essentially it's like women will crave like charcoal or dirt or just weird, obscure things that people don't really usually crave or experience, right? Women have weird cravings, period, when pregnant. But having somebody eat rotten vegetables is not really a usual thing. But there is history of women that will be pregnant and crave, again, dirt, charcoal, weird things like that. There's even medication to kind of help wean people off of those things. But this is Fromville. This is not something that is usually the typical in the norm. It is more likely that she is growing something that is not a normal baby. Maybe she's growing a monster, right? Something that I think is interesting, and can't really take credit for this one, but Furbeck left a comment saying Fatima couldn't open the door, just like the monsters. And you saw that moment where she went to go open the door and didn't. Now, you look at that scene, because I watched the scene again just to kind of make sure. It does look like she can't go to open the door, but it also looks like she's kind of just thinking people are out in the, working and trying to put out the vegetables and stuff. Also, she probably smells the vegetables. So I do think that that's probably the explanation personally, but I wanted to share that comment because that is an interesting point. She doesn't go to open the door, right? And we haven't seen her. You see Ellis handling everything for her and doing everything for her, right? And the talisman, right? The stone that keeps the monsters out, be a thing. It may not be her directly. What if it is? What if she is growing a monster inside? And she can't open up the talisman, right? Again, I wouldn't put anything past this show. I personally think it's as simple as she just smells the rotten vegetables and it kind of piqued her interest, kind of intrigued her a little bit, and that's what kind of stopped her in her tracks. But she does go to open the door and does not open the door, and we don't see her do it after. All right, so could there be something in that regard? Now, I do think that there is going to continue to be sort of this spiral in her character. How does she manage the eating of the rotten food? Because they're going to try to discard it at some point. So I could even see a level of conflict that emerges due to this, where Fatima is trying to store and save the rotten vegetables, and maybe somebody gets rid of it. Maybe she becomes violent, kind of maybe changes her character and nature, because she's always been this super kind, super sweet, positive, like no matter what happens, she's just, she tries to keep a head on her shoulders. and you saw in season 2 the breakdowns start to begin. I mean, even Ellis relays that, I think this place may be getting to Fatima, right? And Ellis has this concern and this worry of her, and he's trying to like keep her spirits high, and wants to get married and wants to do this and that to kind of keep her fresh. And you see it's almost like him and Fatima are living in their own little world, right? Like everything's going on and they're like they're just to themselves, right? Like people are dying. They're not even like asking. They're just, which I get. She is not in a great condition. She's not in a great state. Ellis is trying to tend to her and do his part of like trying to keep her alive and okay. She's appears to be rotting from the inside. I mean, literally, her teeth are falling out. She's having all kinds of issues. She already is like, skinny in and of itself. And this place, she's not really eating, right? Like now she's eating rotten food. Like that can't be good for her health, right? Like it's just, you look at the circumstances, you look at the situation, and it's just like, it doesn't bode well for her to survive and make this out. And then you can't forget that you have Elgin seeing that woman, that spirit, who is a omen of losing or dying during childbirth. Losing your child, dying in childbirth, right? Like this, so you have even the omen in the foreshadowing that Fatima is probably not going to make it out of this. That Fatima is probably going to meet her end and demise. And, like, you've had this love story kind of growing and building in Fromville between Ellis and Fatima. And, even Fatima goes to Donna and, expresses her concerns. And she tries to, you're in this place of just evil. And, you got to look at the bright side type thing. But Fatima even says that she can't have children. Now all of a sudden she's pregnant, right? Like, is this kind of the version of Hell's or Fromville in many ways anti-Christ type thing? Is this creating, you have so many shows and movies and stuff that have dived into the baby that is, Damien, right? The baby that is, gonna bring forth destruction and hell. Like, what if Fatima is kind of giving birth to Fromville's version of that? What if this baby is going to be evil and is going to be a harbinger of destruction and death in Fromville? And it's just, you're heading based on what they're setting up in a clear direction, which is that either she's not going to make it or the baby's not going to make it. One of the two. That both of them aren't making it out of this sequence. Now, maybe they figure something out. Maybe she does. But it would make more sense just based on the way that this show goes that she probably meets her in. There is some real struggle and conflict. Ellis is distraught. Ellis is constantly put in these compromised situations to where Fatima wants the rotten food, but the townspeople and Donna and everybody is trying to prevent her from doing it, and Ellis is now kind of having to like fight and be confrontational in order to help Fatima. And you can kind of start seeing the implosion of Ellis and Fatima here, and the kind of beginning stages of her demise and potentially Ellis's, right? Ellis losing Fatima and maybe even the baby could be kind of the destruction of him, right? It could be the final domino to tip for him to where he breaks. I mean, that's what this show is about, right? Breaking people, getting into people's heads. And, you've had this love story. You've had these two characters that have been able to survive this place and survive the struggles and survive this nightmare with each other and through each other. And both have had instances where they thought they lost the other one. And you've seen that impact and how much that they are kind of dependent on each other. And you're seeing it even more and more now. And this child has just made it even more the case because Ellis is even more, attached to Fatima, and Fatima is now even more dependent on Ellis. And, they, like I mentioned earlier, they're kind of in their own little world, their own little space. Not really kind of even involved in everything else that's going on. Ellis, when kind of pulled and asked, but for the most part, he's trying to tend to Fatima. And so, that's his focus, that's his priority. So you can kind of see this Romeo and Juliet story kind of ending in that same version of tragedy. Right? You can start to see this love story kind of heading for the dead end in which they don't make it out. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? How do you think this is going to play out? Obviously. How do you think that Fatima is going to survive? Do you think she dies? Do you think the child dies? Do you think, maybe they both live? Do you think maybe the shock and Ellis dies, but Fatima and the baby survive? Again, there's so many different directions and rabbit holes that they can go with this. What do you make of the food? How do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are, I love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. It's me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next